Well, Pat Buchanan, I want to talk about solutions to fight this, but you just brought up a central thing. I have a lot of Hispanic friends, hardworking, good, pro-family people that even the liberal social engineering hasn't been able to break up their families and given, 90% illegitimacy like the poor black folks and 35% like the whites now. So you've got the wild men of the barrios, as you say, being given county, state, federal funding, Ford Foundation money. The elite, the CFR elite you've talked about, paid for the comic books and the textbooks in Mexico, going back 30 years ago, saying that the Southwest belongs to Mexico. And so they know exactly what they're doing. They're coming in and trying to turn the Mexicans, as soon as they get here, into American haters. So it goes right back to the CFR. How do we stop these people?
Well, I must say, Alex, you've almost got me stumped here. Look, when you get in politics, you find when you get 70 or 80% of the people with you, the politicians, for their own survival, tend to move. But they're not moving. They're holding out, and something's stopping them. And the only thing I think that is that powerful is the K Street powers. All that money are saying, look, in the Senate bill, there is a complete blanket pardon from all civil and criminal penalties for all businesses that hired illegals, as well as an amnesty for almost all the 12 million here. And I think behind this, holding up a tough border security bill only, holding that up, I think, are the corporations, because they've got the biggest stake in this thing. They've got their guys at risk. A lot of these businessmen that hire people regularly, they pay the tuition of both parties. That seems to me to be the one big power that is behind the administration and the Congress refusing to act.
Pat Buchanan, I agree with you. You were trying to get into the point about where we're going to be by 2050 if this continues.
Well, I think look, if you don't stop it now, you're going to have the Americans of European descent will be well under 50% of the population, shrinking. Most of them will have moved away from the major cities of the country. Los Angeles will look like Mexico City. The cities of Texas.
Well, it already does. What are you talking about?
Well, it already does. But I tell you, the cities of Texas will. Every city in America will look like Los Angeles today, and Los Angeles and the cities of the Southwest will look like Tijuana, Mexico City, and those cities like that. And and it's inevitable. 100 million Hispanics. That's not Pat Buchanan. That's the Census Bureau. 102 million Hispanics in the U.S. 25% of the population by 2050.
And our government,
more than 20 million, concentrated in the Southwest.
And our government financing the groups to make sure they hate the United States because they want to break up the U.S. and have an American Union. Look, it's simple. The globalists have told us, if the middle class in this country was predominantly, let's say, Chinese, okay, the government would be waging war against them. The elites never want middle classes where you have upward mobility and where people aren't dependent on the government. They want a huge peon society, and so they'll use racial pride and all this stuff to hype people up. But the truth is, the middle class, whether you're black, white, or Hispanic or Asian, is having war waged on it by the elite using a foreign invading army. And 20+% of the troops now in Iraq itself are these illegal aliens that sign up and then get citizenship by signing up. Pat, had you seen those numbers?
I have not seen numbers that high, but I will say this. I do believe that the American middle and working class of this country, as I wrote in the title of an earlier book, are victims of a great betrayal. Their manufacturing jobs are being sent abroad. Illegal aliens are being invited into their country. The products of China and things like that are pouring in, and American jobs are being lost. They're bringing in H-1Bs or bright young Indian kids or kids from Bangladesh to take the jobs of Americans who no longer are in the defense industries. The middle class is under assault. You saw today where the median income of Americans, despite rising productivity, has fallen 2% since 2003 when the so-called Bush recovery happened. The middle class is falling behind, and the boys with the portfolios and the boys in the boardrooms are doing just fine.
Well, they are, and so this is really an elite waging war on the population.
It is an elite basically dismissing the interests and concerns, and frankly, the great concern of the middle class, they love the country. They love America. And the elites don't really care about that. They look upon the American people as consumers. They're all
Pat,
consumers.
Pat, what are some solutions to this fight? How do we twist? I mean, you worked in the White House. How do we twist Bush's arm? How do we twist the Democrats' arms? How do we demand that they build a continuous wall? How do we demand that we start massive deportations? How do we demand that we start charging people with felonies who hire large groups of illegal aliens to work in their factories?
I think we're going to have to encourage folks at the state and local level to take action against the illegal aliens and be very, very tough on it. This will keep the issue in front of these people, frankly. And then, come in November, I think you go up to them and say, look, I don't care what you've done for me in the past. You vote for amnesty, you vote for the guest worker program, and you oppose a security fence along the border, and I'm going to vote against you, and I'm going to work against you, and we're going to defeat you. And if you're a Republican, too bad. We'll maybe get in Republicans who believe more in preserving this country. That is it. This is the ballot. This is the single vote on which we're going to hold you accountable.
And I think that, I mean, obviously the establishment's got to know that if things are already this heated in 2006, what's going to be like in 5-10 years? I mean, this is going to get...
This book of mine, I'll tell you, the book is, the Third World Invasion and Conquest of America. This issue is going to be here in 2006, 2008, 2010, because the whole world is coming. They're coming to that southern border. The Mexicans aren't going to stop coming. They're not going to stop being pushed into the country.
There's 6 billion people that want to come here. We can't have them all here. Folks, you don't want to live like they do in India or they do in Mexico City. Travel there. Look at it for yourself. It's hell on earth. And people say, well, let them come here, and then that'll, take the heat off the other countries. We could take 50 million a year, and it wouldn't even touch global third world population growth.
Let me tell you, Alex, each 18 months, the third world adds the equivalent of an entire Mexico in population. 100 million people are added to third world populations every 18 months. We're going to have 3 billion more people by 2050 in this world than you have now. And all of them know now that what the place to go is the good old USA. You don't get deported. You don't get roughed up.
You can have
leprosy.
leprosy.
On welfare. You might be able to get a job, which you can make 10 times what you made at home.
Pat, let me bring this up real quick. We're going to come back and try to jam 1 or 2 calls in. I'm sorry we haven't gone to your calls yet. Loaded phones here. We had 4 cases of leprosy until 2004. Now we've had 7,000. They have a leper colony in East Texas. TB is exploding everywhere. I mean, at least they tested people, even Europeans, everybody coming in at Ellis Island. Now it's just people can walk off planes with leprosy splattering all over the place, and it's just like wonderful. I mean, this is insane.
Well, I saw over the weekend, Drudge had a report, 12 or 13 cases of bubonic plague they found. TB. Immigrant children are 100 times more likely to be carrying TB into the classroom than native-born American children. 1 in every 7 East Asians in New York City, that's 100,000 people, has tuberculosis. You've got dengue fever. You've got Chagas' disease coming in. You've got malaria coming in, things we cured and things we never had in America. You read reports of bed bugs found in all of these states. Where do they think they're coming? The illegal aliens go through no check whatsoever. They come in and they bring these with them.
Again, and the media keeps it almost completely quiet because they've got to do it to break down the republic. The country is under attack. George Bush is directing those attacks with his neocon traitors.